Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is that you're checking this out. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Phil from Radio.co. And in this presentation today, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to get your own online radio station up and running in about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit over 30 minutes, through the use of Radio.co. I'm going to give you a tour of pretty much how it works, covering all the basics, but also pointing you in the direction to a couple of other nifty little bits that we have just to make managing and creating the content on your station a hell of a lot easier. You may have noticed if you do check out a lot of our videos, I sound a little bit different. We had to reschedule this demonstration from last week. I was just very, very ill. I'm still a little ill, so this edition of the demo is going to be the Radio.co demo bunged up edition, I think. So hopefully my nasaliness isn't too off-putting. And as well, obviously the one that we did last month, the Halloween special, which focused on equipment and the I guess entry and advanced level equipment you may want to go. I got some really good feedback about that. So if you did join me for that one, thank you very much. I enjoyed talking about all the different sorts of entry and advanced level equipment you can use and purchase for launching your own station. So I'll be doing a few more things like that in the future. If you have any ideas of things you'd like me to cover in the future during these demonstrations, these live demos, then please let me know. You can just send me an email, studio@radio.co. If there's anything in particular that you would like me to cover, then please do let me know. Okay, so what you should be able to see right now is my Radio.co demonstration screen. And like I said, I'm going to take you on a journey through Radio.co about how it all works, covering all the basics really of how you would upload your media, how you would create your own shows, how you would schedule them for broadcasting, all things like that, and then also how people can listen to your station, things like mobile apps that you can build. And then after this, which will last about 30 minutes-ish or something, I'm going to be covering a couple of questions that people have asked me beforehand. So if you have already asked me a question in a form that we sent out, I will cover a few of those. It's about 6 or so. And then if you yourself, while you're watching, have any questions, obviously this is live. So please write any questions that you have in the comment box, whether you're watching on YouTube, on our Facebook page, and LinkedIn for the first time. So hopefully that's all going well. But yeah, any questions you have, please write them in the box, and I will answer as many as possible before the end of this demonstration. Right, okay, so I'm going to jump onto my screen here. And as well, because of my quite nasally tones, I may have to take a few more pauses than normal while I while I choke on some water and clear my throat. So do bear with me, but we should be fine. Oh, speaking of it, there we go. So what you should be able to see here, everybody, is this is your Radio.co dashboard. And this is just a general overview of what your station is currently doing right at this moment in time. And this is what you and anyone who has access to your station will be able to see. Now, to get to this point, it's very, very straightforward. You will get this within minutes of actually signing up. Just go to our website, Radio.co. Go to our pricing page, and you'll see that we have 5 subscription plans in total. And each one of those plans does have the ability to give you all the essentials for broadcasting. Where they differ in terms of things like storage space or features that some of them may include. But when you click on the Start Trial button, follow those instructions, and literally 2 or 3 minutes later, this is what you'll see, your dashboard. And if you see this, you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. So what's going on here? First of all, this. Now, this is your on-air, off-air button. And this is probably what you'll actually see when you create your account, is you'll actually see it's displaying off-air because, well, of course, you've only just created your account. You've not actually turned it on air. So before you do that, you may want to upload some content and things. So I'll show you how that works in just a moment. So all you do is you turn this on when you're ready to turn your station on air. And I'll do that right at the end. What you can see here at the top is this is a display for your live broadcasting. Now, what this is here is basically if you're doing a live show, whether that's yourself or a DJ that is working on the station for you, they'll need to look at this connection status. And what that means is, are they currently connected to Radio.co in order to do a live show. So I'm not doing a live show at the moment. I mean, I'm doing a live demonstration, but I'm not actually doing a live broadcast. That's why it says not connected. If I was doing a live broadcast, it would say connected or live, something like that. And to actually get to that stage, you'll see where it says here, download a broadcaster. Now, that is an extra little piece of software that you do need to download, and you need to download it once and then just open it up each time you want to broadcast live. You open this up, it confirms who's logged in, who's actually trying to get connected, because it uses your radio.co details. And then all you need to do then is confirm what equipment it is you are using. So whether that is a headset you may have on, a mixing desk that you've got plugged in, choose the right option. And yeah, it just means anything that's going through that piece of equipment will be going out live on air. Now, it's worth noting this particular broadcaster is one that we've made, and it's exclusively for Windows. So if you are a Mac user, you need to use a third-party one. The one we actually recommend using is called But, and that may be one that you've heard already. It's called Broadcast Using This Tool. It's made by a great guy, and we've actually very recently integrated with But. So you'll be able to log into it just using your radio.co login in details, which is really, really cool. So whether it's Windows or Mac you're using, you can broadcast live really, really simply. And in fact, you can use radio.co incredibly easily on both operating systems. So it doesn't matter whether you are using Windows or Mac at all. This information here is relevant to whichever subscription plan you take. As I say, it has different things like storage and simultaneous listeners. And this is currently showing you what's currently broadcasting or what's coming up next. But of course, we've turned our station off air, so we're not actually broadcasting anything currently. Now, the first thing you'll probably want to do is upload some content. And once you've uploaded some tracks, you can then turn your station on air. So to get to that point, click on the Media tab here. And this is what you will see. Click on the Add Media button right at the top. And this is where you can select any files that are currently saved to your computer. So you can upload anything you like, whether that's music or podcasts or jingles or ads, things like that. As long as it's an MP3 file or an AAC file, you can upload it. It's just a case of clicking on Select Files, selecting anything you like, and then they'll then gradually all upload in a long list like this. We also have integration with FTP. If you're not familiar with that, it stands for File Transfer Protocol. And what that means is it's actually, well, I don't think it technically means this, but the way I describe it is it's kind of like an aggressive way of uploading. So you can upload dozens of tracks in one go. So if you had thousands of tracks you wanted to upload, you can actually highlight them all, send them across, and then leave it overnight or leave it over a lunch break or something, and they'll then all gradually upload all together. So if you've got a lot of files or you've got some large files, like large podcasts you want to play, FTP is highly recommended. And if you're unfamiliar with how that works, don't worry. If you go to our help center, help.radio.co, type in upload, and you'll find an article all about how to use uploaders and also, more importantly, the FTP software here. So regardless of how you do upload content, you'll all find your tracks here. And you'll see that a lot of my tracks have got these brightly coloured labels attached to them. What they are is they're what we call tags. Now, what these do is they help you, first and foremost, organise your media. So you can see I've got some heavy metal tracks. Of course, Kylie Minogue, very popular heavy metal artist there, but it's just an example. But you see the heavy metal tag. I have an R&B tag, classical, advert. And these are tags that you podcast there. Tags are things that you create yourself. So these aren't ones that we've given you. You literally type in anything you want because it's there to help you. So I could highlight these selection of tracks here. Some tracks here, and I could be something a bit more specific with my music. Maybe these are hip hop tracks from the late 90s, something like that. I could highlight them. I could create a tag that just says hip hop, or I could create one that says hip hop 90s, or even hip hop late 90s. It's totally up to you. Literally type in anything you like, click on add, and what it does is it creates that label and it attaches it to those tracks. So now you know how how to categorize your music, and it then sort of creates a folder. So if you click on the tags option here on the left of my screen here, it says tags, and this is a list of all the tags that you've made. And next to each tag is a number of how many tracks associated with each one. I can then click on this, and it shows me, it kind of opens it up like a folder, and it shows me what tracks are in this category. So it's a really great way of helping you keep everything organized, but actually you can use these to build your playlists. So I'll show you how that works a little bit later. And you can also attach multiple tags to tracks as well. So if I go back to my tracks here, say it was a chill track, an acoustic, and it's from the 80s, for example. So, so you can create multiple tags and assign them to each of your tracks like so. Now, if I move my way down to recordings, this is where we'll get into the first of one of our features. So if you subscribe to at least our bronze plan, you'll have access to our recordings feature. What this allows you to do is when you're scheduling a live broadcast, you can schedule it to record. So as soon as you come off air, you have an MP3 file of that show. So whilst you're broadcasting, it's simultaneously recording it. Give it 30 seconds or so, and you've got your MP3 file of your show. You can then take this file and you could download it onto your personal computer. We have a sister company, Podcast.co. So if you have an account with both and it's a talk show, of course, you can upload it instantly to Podcast.co and gradually you've got a podcast there rolling out towards Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And then we also have the ability to publish it directly to Mixcloud. So if you have music shows that you've recorded, why not publish them there and invite people to Mixcloud to listen to your tracks on demand? And all you do is you click on the following option. Literally fill out the information for your track here, click on upload, and it'll then upload to a tied Mixcloud account that you have. So you can, within minutes of you coming off air, you can have a show available on demand. And of course, you can place it into a playlist if you just wanted to repeat it on another day. Another feature we have, which you subscribe to at least the bronze plan for, is our voice tracking. And this is a really, really handy tool. It's really simple and easy to record content directly into Radio.co. This allows you to record vocal content up to 10 minutes in length, which is really, really great. So you can use it to, if you've built a playlist of music, you could use it to record introductions to some of your tracks. Or maybe you've got a show that you're repeating and you wanted to record a new introduction for it. Or you wanted to read from something or even record an advert. It's basically a portable recording booth. So I'll show you how that works very, very shortly. And a couple of other features. We do have the ability to add live relay. So I'll show you how that works a little bit later. We have the ability to record remote interviews and discussions with our talk show feature. This is an advanced feature that is available in our Gold and our Pro plans. And this just allows you to very simply record remote interviews and shows. You can record up to 60 minutes. You create a room or a show like here, invite people to it through this link. That's inviting your guests, your co-hosts. You click on start session and then you basically record content from your end, from your microphone, your guest's end, and you can record up to a 60-minute show or a discussion or an interview. It's a really, really great way of easily recording and storing your remote discussions. And then we have a news bulletin builder. This is in at least our silver plan, and this allows you to schedule news bulletins at the top of any hour you wish. All you need is an MP3 news stream that you want to use, so a HTTPS MP3 stream. You can put a bit of an intro and an outro or a jingle or an ident either side. And then you tell Radio.co how often you want it to play, so which hours of the day and which days of the week. And the software will then automatically fade in the latest headlines from this source at the top of any hour you've specified. So if you wanted news, but most importantly, you wanted to automate the news, this is a fantastic way of doing it. So that's enough about features. It's now talking about, how you actually build some shows. So you've uploaded media, which is great, and you now need to build a show. And to do that, you come to playlists. Now, basically, any show that is not live, you will build a playlist. You'll build a playlist, you'll tell the software what time you want it to play, and there we go. That's how simple it is to do something that's pre-recorded and automated. So you can see some shows I've made already. I have a breakfast show, classic rock show, a couple of podcasts and an R&B show. But I also have a playlist called Default. And when you create your account with Radio.co, you too will have a default playlist. The only difference is your default will be empty whilst I've put tracks in mine. Now, the reason we give you this default playlist is because we've actually built it to do a couple of important jobs. What it would do is, first of all, it will automatically fade in during any gap in your schedule. So what that means for you is, we've given you a 24-hour station to build. You don't actually need to create and schedule 24 hours of content every single day. What you can do is leave gaps in your schedule, and any gaps will be automatically filled by whatever you have in your default playlist. So I have 52 tracks, combination of music, interviews, podcasts, jingles, ads. And that will just play automatically on loop anytime there's a gap. So you don't actually need to, schedule 24 hours of content. I'll show you how that works when I get to the schedule. And the other job that it does is actually it becomes by default a backup playlist. And again, I'll explain that in a bit more detail when I get to my schedule. But first of all, I'm going to build a show. I'm going to build the first show of my new station. I'm going to keep it nice and simple because I have no imagination at all. It's just called Phil Show. There we go. I'm going to give it a color. I'll give it my favorite color. Nice dark blue there, or royal blue. Click on the add button. And when I do, it takes me to my playlist builder. So I can see the name of my show, Phil Show, and I can see its length, which is 0 because obviously I've not added anything to it yet. To do that, you'll see this where it says tracks, and this has opened out on all of the tracks that I have uploaded. I've got about 2,000 tracks on this particular account. And I could work my way down this list, clicking on the plus button, and you see when I do that, it's jumping straight across into my playlist. I can add in anything I like. So music, I've got some jingles here, and maybe I'd like this jingle to play at least 3 times during this show. I've got a couple of other things that I want to play, but you can see every time I click on a track, the duration is changing. So it's telling me live exactly how long this particular show is going to be. There we go, 1 hour and 8 minutes and 14 seconds there. Now, you don't need to add tracks into any specific order because you can move them around with your mouse, nice and simple, like so, dragging them all around. There we go, like so. So now I know exactly what order my tracks are playing in, I know what tracks are playing in, and I know how long my particular show is. And I could be quite happy with that. I could click on save and schedule it and be pretty happy about it. However, I'm going to show you a couple of other things you can add into your playlist to really change the way that you create and manage your shows. First of all, is through the use of tags. Now, as I said before, not only can you use tags to organize, but you can actually use them to help you build randomized shows. And the way you do that is by taking any of your tags. So I've got a 90s tag here, for example. I'm going to move that across. I could also use my hip hop late 90s tag that I made just before. Now, what will happen here is when the software gets to one of these tags in the schedule, it will play a random track that is associated with that tag. So if I had 200 tracks I tagged as 90s, it's going to play a random one out of that 200, followed by another random one out of those 3 tracks that I labeled as hip hop late 90s. If you wanted an entirely random show, you're really not bothered about what's playing, you just wanted 90s tracks to play for an hour. A simple way of building a show like that is actually building it with just nothing but a single tag, like so. So if I wanted 90s hour, I could schedule that for 1 hour and it will just keep playing a back-to-back random 90s track. And the software's clever. It will play every track within that tag once before any play for a second time. So even if I did play hours upon hours of back-to-back 90s tags, as long as I've got plenty of tracks in that, it's absolutely fine. Other ways of building content is through your recording. So if you have any live shows that you've recorded and you'd like to repeat them, it's simply a case of taking that file, moving it across. There we go. I'm now repeating this entire show here. Talk shows. If you've recorded any of those talk shows, they'll be stored here. You can take them through that talk show feature. And then voice tracks. So as I mentioned, you can record voice tracks, and each voice track can be a maximum of 10 minutes. They're perfect for, building a playlist of music and recording introductions to a few of them, as you'd come to expect from, a typical, music radio show. So to record one, click on the microphone button at the top here. Click on this red microphone at the top. Confirm the device that you're using. So this is my desk that I've got plugged into my computer here. So I'm going to select that. But anything that you've got connected, so, like a headset or USB microphone, a set of turntables, anything that's connected is a viable option. And therefore, everything that is traveling through that piece of equipment can be recorded. So even though I'm just recording my voice with this at the moment, if I had a music source plugged into it, I could also record a little bit of music whilst I'm talking. Maybe it's a piece of music I'm talking over, for example. But you can see here, this is flashing, so it knows that I'm recording. It's counting down from 10 minutes, so I know exactly how much time I've used up at the moment. And you can literally use this, for whatever means you want. Some people are using this to record their own adverts or their own jingles. Like I say, it's basically a portable recording booth you'll always have access to as long as you've got, a computer and an internet connection. Now I can click on stop. I can listen back to it to make sure everything sounds okay. And if I'm happy with it, I can obviously listen back to it, get rid of it, and then I can save it if I am happy with it. So I'll call this one Fill Demo Test. Again, nice and original. Click on Create. And then you just need to give it just a couple of seconds or so, and it'll be ready to schedule. There we go. So it's all ready to go now. So I can now move this across or move it anywhere I like. And there we go. Fill Demo Test, all ready to go. Nice. So I'm pretty happy with my show here. I'm going to click on Save. And now we're ready to go. So I'm going to click on Schedule. And what you'll be able to see here on Schedule is, well, your schedule. You'll be able to see the days of the week along the top. You can see your times down by the side. And as I scroll through my schedule, you can see exactly what I have on my show. I have a 9 till 12 breakfast show here with Alan and an evening show 6 till 9 with Graham. And as I mentioned before, there is a huge gap here every afternoon, in fact, and any gaps in that schedule will be filled by that default playlist. So those 52 tracks or so that I have are absolutely fine. Yeah, they're absolutely fine. So as long as I've got tracks in there, they will play on loop, and they'll fill in every gap here. So even if you just had one track in that default playlist, it will just mean that that track is playing constantly on repeat. It may be what you want, but it's basically an easy way of managing your station. Some people actually leave their schedules completely blank 24/7 and they just create that default playlist. And you could do it like that. That's a very, very easy way of actually getting started. But what I'm going to show you now is actually how to schedule a specific show to start at a certain time. So you've uploaded your content, you build a playlist, and now you want to tell the software when you'd like it to play. And for that, that's very, very simple. All you do is click on the time you want it to start, drag it to the time you want it to finish. So if I clicked on 2 for tomorrow afternoon and drag it to 5, means I'm going to create a show 2 till 5 in the afternoon tomorrow. Now, when I let go of the mouse, I just need to confirm the details of this. So first of all, I've got start time, which is 2 o'clock. It runs for 3 hours and it ends at 5. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Great. I don't need to change that, but I can actually, if I wanted it to be a set of 3 hours, I wanted it to be a 2 hours or rather a 1 hour and 54-minute long show. You can create shows to an exact minute if you want to. Now, I can schedule it just for Wednesday, as I have done, but I can also select any day of the week and it will schedule it on these times on those specific days as well. Or I can do it every day. So if this is going to be a reoccurring drive time show or breakfast show, this would be the best way of doing it. Likewise, if this is going to be a heavily reoccurring show and it's going to be on air every week, for example, maybe just repeat it every week up until a random date. So the random date I've selected here is actually the 15th of March, 2022. And in fact, you can schedule shows to go on air every day for the next 2 years if you wanted to. But I'm not going to go that mental. I'm just going to do it, just till the middle of March next year. And it's going to schedule it every day, every week up until that point in time. Now, the last thing I need to do is click on the Advanced tab. And this is where I confirm what type of show this is going to be. And by type, I mean, first of all, we have playlist. Now, what this means, well, it's simply, it's what it suggests. I would like to play a playlist during this time. And you select that playlist from here at the top, where it says playlist, click on this drop-down menu, and you'll see all the shows you've made. So if I click on Fill Show, that means I'm going to play the Fill Show playlist 2 till 3:54 every day, every week for the next 4 months. So something like that. If I'm happy with that, I'm going to click on Create Event, give it a second or two, and it will then be scheduled and it's ready to rock. You can see 2 till 3:54, the Fill Show playlist is going to play. And this will automatically fade in at 2 and automatically fade out at 3:54. And that's how simple it is to do a pre-recorded show. Upload your content, build a playlist, and then just tell the software what time you would like it to play. Simple as that. And because the software is all entirely cloud-based, it's actually powered by our servers. So unlike a terrestrial radio station where you need to have a computer on 24/7, that's not necessary because we do that job for you. As long as you told the software what you wanted to do, you could shut your computer off, you could pull the internet cable out the walls if you wanted to, and yeah, it's still going to play because it's actually us that's powered it for you. Of course, just remember or make sure your station is turned on air, just like that, and it will then begin playing. There we go, just like so. So that's how you do a pre-recorded show. And for a live show, it's actually very, very similar. All you do is click on the event, and which this event type, you would instead select live DJ. And now, similarly to a playlist where you choose which specific playlist you want to play, with a live DJ, you choose which specific host wants to do this show. So you can see this is a drop down menu for everyone that I've invited onto this account. And I'll show you how to invite people towards the end. But first of all, I'm going to select myself here, Phil. And this means that I'm going to be hosting live during this show. Now, the software will only give this specific person the ability to go live. So, me in this example. If anyone else tries to, so if Jack, who's working in the background, feeding your questions through to me, if Jack tried to go live, he wouldn't be able to because, well, he's not been recognized on the account as the one who is going live. So, even if you did give a complete stranger like me access to your account, I can only go live when I've been scheduled. Nice era of security there for you. Now I'm going to click record broadcast on. So that means whilst I'm broadcasting, it's also recording, which is what I'd like to do. And, I can make as many changes to this as I want. So I'll get rid of Friday and Saturday, and maybe I'll change it to, maybe the 15th of February instead. So you can make as many changes to it, even if it has been scheduled for months in advance. You can also make changes to a show that is currently on air as well. So there we go. So making all those changes, and now you can see it's got rid of the days I don't want. It now says Phil is our live DJ, and we now have a backup playlist as well. So any playlist you select here when you have chosen a live DJ is going to be your backup playlist. And again, what that means is in the event of a technical emergency, such as there's a power cut in my home and I'm taken off air, such as I'm late for any reason starting my show, there's never going to be any dead air because a backup playlist will play instead. And you can choose which specific playlist you'd like to be as your backup. You can choose it to be any. It doesn't always have to be your default, but as the name suggests, it will be the default by default. And you can see recording has been enabled here. So we know that whilst I'm broadcasting, it's also recording. And that's how simple it is to do a live broadcast. Very similar to a playlist. The only difference is you just need to tell the software who's going live and at what time. And as long as that person does log in and get connected through the broadcaster or through But, they will go live. They'll fade in at 2 and fade out, in this case, at 3:54. And they're allowed to play whatever they want during that time. So that's it for programming. If you want to delete anything, just highlight it, click on delete, and you can delete only that one you've selected, or in this case, I'll delete them all. I don't want them anymore. But you'll see very quick, very seamless there. And now, perhaps the most important thing to show you, of course, is how on earth do people listen to this radio station? So there are a couple of different options. First of all, click on the Listen tab here. And what you'll see here, this is a unique URL for your station. And we give you this when you create your account. So a popular question people always ask me is, do I need a website for my station? I mean, a website can be hugely beneficial. You can create your own website, direct people to there. It's beneficial to have, if my station was called Phil FM, I would like people to go to www.philfm.com, something like that. But, it's not essential. Something like maybe an active Facebook page can be just as useful as a website. So even if you don't have a website, don't worry, you will still get a URL for your station. It won't go to a website. Literally, when people click on it, it will take them to a blank browser tab on their computer or their smartphone, and it just has a play button that starts streaming. So there's nothing to look at, but it's a very, very easy way of people actually listening to your station. What else you can do? You can come to your web player. So if you did have a website, or you wanted to have a website eventually, you would actually ignore that web link and instead create a web player, which can look a little bit like this. It can display artwork of what you're playing, obviously track information here. It can display the branding for your station instead. Maybe you would have a photo of the DJ who's live on air at the moment. It's totally up to you about what you want to display. And it will just, it gives your listeners something a bit more visually appealing to stare at. You can, of course, expand on this by having a number of our add-ons. So we actually give you the ability to build an iPhone app and an Android app as well. Arguably, the most efficient way of people listening to your station is through their mobile phones. And with this dedicated app, they can just download it, open it up, and play your station in the background. They can still use their app, their phone, for lots of other different things. And these apps are all white labeled, so they don't feature anything to do with Radio.co on them. It's purely yours. So it's a great way of promoting your station. And really, it sounds daft, but people are more likely to to answer to your calls to download an app rather than visit a website. Even though downloading an app requires far more steps, getting your phone out, going on the App Store, finding it, downloading it, it's seen as a bit more trendy, and obviously it's more every day. People are all glued to our phones. So even though it does seem like a bit of hassle, it's actually the preferred way of people listening to radio. That is until you get an Alexa skill. This is a fantastic way of very easily listening to your station without lifting a finger. And again, this is all white labeled, and Alexa will simply play your station for you. Last couple of things really to show you is a couple of things. We have statistics. This is a great way of monitoring your station. So again, you've got your station on air, it's broadcasting, that's fine, but you want to know, who's listening. So come to statistics, and we monitor your station's performance for a maximum of 60 days at a time. So I'm looking at the last 30 here, for example, and I can see, how many total listeners I've got, how many unique. A lot of people ask me what's the difference between these two. Unique is how many actual people are listening to your station. So in this case, over 4,000 people have listened to my station. And out of those 4,000 people, they have listened altogether for 6,000 times. That's what it means. So if I was to listen to your station, I would be a unique listener. If I listened 3 times during that week, I would be 1 unique listener, but 3 total listeners, if that makes sense. This shows me also how many people have been listening maximum at the same time. But, most importantly, it shows me where in the world my station can be found. So the most popular countries, the most popular web browsers or devices, things like Windows Media Player. Can't believe people still use it. And then also things like, are they using a desktop computer or a TV or a smartphone? And we also give you real-time data, so we can actually show you exactly where your audience is coming from. So we've got a live audience member here from Dorset in the UK, and you can see when they started listening, when they connected, exactly what time they connected, how long they've been listening for, and even how much bandwidth they're using up as well. So really good details if you want to really get to know your live audience while you're doing your shows. Reports. This is primarily for licensing. Probably one of the main questions we get asked on a daily basis is about licensing. So I'll give you a general overview of how it works. Generally, if you plan to play copyrighted material, so music, we do strongly recommend you getting a license for your station. We don't currently include it in our services, but we do hope to in the future, but it's not on a radar at the moment. So for the time being, we do recommend you seeking an independent license from an organization based in a country that you're broadcasting from. So if you're broadcasting from the UK, you would go to PPL or PRS. And if you broadcast from the US, again, for example, there are 4 different organizations you can contact. Now, each of these organizations will have certain regulations about what they cover. They'll have certain costs, varying costs. So it's a case of communicating with all of them and just seeing what they offer. You may just be able to get away with having a license from one organization. You may need to get a license from all of them. It can ultimately depend on what you intend to play, where you intend to broadcast, and and when as well. So because we don't deal with licensing, it's difficult for us to really give accurate information about it because it is changing all the time. But if you go to our website and you go to our blog, or just type in Radio.co licensing on Google, and you'll find we've got loads of articles about licensing and also links to these organizations to get it from, based in the countries that you are broadcasting from. So go there and we will help as much as possible about pointing in the right direction, but really for the accurate costs and rules about licensing, contact them directly or go to their website. What we do help with, however, is the reporting. The reporting is what's needed for your licensing organization to pay royalties on your behalf. You will never pay royalties yourself. They'll pay them for you. They'll calculate them for you. You just need to pay the licensing fees that are required. Now, what you'll need to do here is come to your reports, come to your track summary. And what this will do is allow you to broadcast here. And it says track summary, and it's loading up the last bit of information here over the last 30 days. And it's showing me everything that I've played, how many times each track has played, and how many people are actually listening to it. So this is all fine. You would then download this report, email it off to that regulation, and they'll then know who to pay in royalties and how much to pay. All simple, just like this here. So even though we don't help with the actual licensing, we help you with the reporting side of things. Do keep in mind this information is only available for a maximum of 60 days. So even if your licensing organization asks for reports every 3 or 4 months, try and make a habit of downloading them as promptly as possible. Final things, really, settings, really for you to have a little investigate around. But the thing you probably want to go to first is your broadcasting tab here. And this just allows you to change things about how your station sounds, such as crossfades for how long your tracks fade in and fade out of each other. Your streaming quality. All of our plans let you broadcast to a really high quality 192 kbps, HD sound. If you're interested in broadcasting to a higher sound of 320, which is really pro studio sound, then our Pro plan, our top plan, will allow you to do that. We have security measures so you can block people or entire countries from listening. We have integrations with, as I say, our sister company, Podcast.co. Twitter can tweet out things you're playing. And Zapier even offers a new way of uploading content to your station through Google Drive and Dropbox. And then in the billing information, you can upgrade and downgrade your plan anytime you like. So if you want to grow with your station, start off small and upgrade as and when you need. And then the final thing to show you before I do jump to questions is our user section. And this is how you monitor everyone that's associated with your account. So whoever creates the account is the owner. So you have full access to do everything that you want. And as the owner, you can invite people onto your station. And everyone who has access can have different levels of access. So, if you were to invite me as a DJ, the only thing I can do is broadcast live and log out. For example, I can't see any other media. I can't build shows. I can't change any settings. But if you'd like a DJ to be able to do voice tracking and help you build shows, then things like the music controller access will let them do that. But to invite someone regardless, click on the Invite a User button at the top here. Enter their name. So if it was me, Phil, my email address here, my role, we'll just say a DJ. Click on invite, and when you do, I then get a notification to say that I have been invited to join a station. I follow those instructions and I'll get my own unique login details. And with my own profile on Radio.co, I also have my own login details for broadcasting live as well. So it means no one needs to share any details. If you want me to go live, you schedule me and I can log in from anywhere in the world. As long as I've got at least an internet connection, a laptop, or even an iPhone, I can broadcast live from my location. And there we go. That's the end of the crash course there, everybody. I hope that's given you a good idea on what Radio.co is all about. Obviously, that's the most important thing here, is just to show you how easy it is to get your very own online radio station up and running through something like our platform. The idea is we give you all the software and all the support as well, the broadcaster support to really make this a success, to make it easy to set up and, very quick to actually enjoy. So what I'm going to do now is change my screen. Thank you very much, Jet, for just putting that screen there. Is I'm going to go through a couple of questions. So as I said, I've been asked a couple of questions beforehand, which I'm going to answer first of all, which that have been asked, as I say, in the coming weeks during this. So some of these questions are ones that maybe you watch and have asked yourselves, or it's something that you haven't asked me, but it's in the back of your mind. So I'll cover through these questions, and I can see Jack in the background has also moved a few questions across that you've asked live, which I will cover right at the end. Just wet my whistle a little bit. There we go. Okay, so first of all, first question is from Max. And he says, is it possible to launch an online radio station with no funding? Absolutely, Max. Yes. So launching your own station really doesn't require much equipment or really setup costs. That's why even with very, very little finances, you can at least get started. As long as you're able to cover, at least our $29 per month subscription plan. I know that can be a lot of money. As long as you're able to afford at least that, you have your own 24-hour 24/7 station running on just that. Equipment wise, all you need is just your computer, an internet connection, and a subscription to a service like Radio.co, and you'll then have everything that you need to instantly begin broadcasting all over the world. As I've showed you, just upload some content you have, build a few shows, and then turn your station on air. If you don't want to talk, you don't actually even need a microphone. If you just wanted to play music, upload tracks and just let them go. You could use some means that you have accessible to you. So things like, if you wanted to use a microphone, you could use one that's built into your laptop, or you could use, a pair of earbuds or earphones. They're not going to sound fantastic, but they're going to sound better than absolutely nothing. So, as long as you've got an average powered Windows or Mac computer, and an internet connection, you're pretty good to go. As long as you can keep up your, the initial costs of your subscription fees, then you can have this global radio station broadcasting in absolutely no time at all. I think there's another question here later on just about funding, or at least I've got a little bit about funding that I can add in as well. So I'll touch on that in a little bit later. Next question here is from Lynn. She says, "Can I broadcast live from a concert?" Good question, Lynn, and actually one I've not been asked before, so that's good. So yes, you can. So although I guess you would need to make sure that all the equipment you were using, or what was available at the venue, if you were the one personally hosting it, was connected to your computer to some regard, it should be something you'd be able to set up relatively simply. So I guess I said there's two scenarios there. If it's you just turning up to an event that you'd like to broadcast, or if it's an event you're hosting. So if you were running the actual live event and you were wanting to broadcast the audio live online, then you could find a way to connect, I guess, the artist or the band's soundboard and desk to your computer. And then that way you could actually then live broadcast a direct stream of the performance. It is a live performance. You're getting all the different channels of the, microphones or the instruments playing. So it wouldn't necessarily be like like if you get me, the atmosphere of the live feed. But that's something I know a lot of people do, and there's been some stations that have been set up to broadcast performances from theaters, particularly during these COVID times, and that's how they did it. They just fed their desks and soundboards into their computer, and they just broadcasted basically a live capture of those instruments or those vocalists performing. So yeah, so that's one way you could do it. Just as long as that's connected to your computer, you could broadcast that live out, with an internet connection, no problem. Alternatively, you could find a way to capture the live performance externally, like capturing the actual live feeling of it through something like a microphone to broadcast it. But in that regards, I couldn't really advise on how that would actually sound, with the loud volumes and the crowd and obviously the sound of the venue itself. I guess a deal of trial and error would be needed for that sense, but it could be possible either through a mic and a computer setup, as I mentioned, or even through our iOS app, Pocket Streamer. That's a great little app that we have. It's free to download, and it basically turns your iPhone into a portable live microphone. So, as long as you were scheduled for a live broadcast, you could literally hold your phone out to the performance and broadcast it through that. You don't even need a computer. As long as you've got a stable internet connection going into your mobile phone, you could broadcast it like that. So I hope that's kind of answered your question, Lynn. If not, feel free to email me, studio@radio.co, and I'll try and provide a bit more detail. But essentially, yeah, as long as you've got some equipment connected to your computer for a live performance, you could broadcast it that way, or use something externally to capture it. But, it would be a bit of an experiment to see how it would sound. Next question here is from Leisha. Any tips on how to transition into Christmas music without losing the base audience? Good question, Leisha. I was particularly, we're getting to the end of November. Then again, I think some radio stations have been playing Christmas music since about mid-March. But so we've got some stations here, and a lot of people I know are worried about, feeling obliged to play Christmas music, or they're just worried that they're, here in Leisha's case, is their base audience going to enjoy listening to it? I mean, in all honesty, if you want to play Christmas music on your station, then you absolutely should. After all, it's your station and you're playing it for a few weeks per year. 50 weeks of, probably not 50 weeks actually, something like 40 odd weeks of the year is just your regular music. But, for 4 weeks or something of the year, you're playing, just something a little bit different. So, you absolutely should if you want to. Christmas music is almost kind of expected at this time of year, so it shouldn't really come as a shock to your listeners, really. And I guess if you are a kind of like a specialist music station, like you were playing a music that was just hip hop, or you're just playing heavy metal, make it a little bit fun. Play Christmas music that is from hip hop artists or heavy metal artists. Things like you can still make it part of the sound and the identity of your station. There's no need to necessarily play the big Christmas hits, unless of course that you want to. And if you want to, you absolutely should. My advice really would be is if you are worried about your base audience, though, then kind of, I guess, why not start teasing Christmas music during your shows, and then make a point of it being inevitable, making it, it's a bit ironic, it's inevitable, all this Christmas music is coming. Because then when it actually does start playing, it's not come as such a shock to the system, to your audience. If they know it is going to be coming in, and you kind of like playing into, the general feel of it, really. Plus, you kind of never know that they may actually love it, so it's absolutely fine. They may embrace the Christmas music because again, it's so temporary anyway. Um, if you are worried though, then it may be best to kind of still keep your regularly programming the majority of the time, and then playing a few Christmas songs now and then, not necessarily flooding your station entirely with Christmas music. And as well, it's obviously this comes to no surprise really, but audiences are fickle at the best of times. So some may leave, some may come back. You may get a fraction of people leaving your station because they hate the one Christmas track every 2 hours you're playing, but you may get people that love the fact that you're playing it. And you may get more people joining your station listening to it because of the slight change in direction. So, don't worry too much about your audience missing out just because you've decided to play a bit of Christmas music. It's your station. Be wary of completely alienating the audience. You don't want to anger people because you're playing Christmas music. But if you want to, absolutely do. It's your station at the end of the day, and audiences will go, they will come back, and some of them may even stay. Don't worry about it too much. Just I guess if you are really worried about it, just be a little cautious with it. So I hope that's helped Leisha anyway. Josh has asked, what's a good budget for starting out? Good question. If you would like a rundown of some of the recommended equipment for both starting out and more advanced broadcasters, then obviously I did mention at the top, I did a webinar last month all about equipment, good equipment to use. I did run by a few cost ideas as well. I know for a few bits of equipment. So do check that out. It's on our YouTube. You probably find it on our Facebook as well. Do check it out. But yeah, budget wise, I guess it depends on what you want to do. If you plan to just play automated music, then no equipment is needed apart from your computer and an internet connection, as I mentioned before. If you want to talk, then a decent USB microphone is a good place to start. And I said this during the webinar. I recommend a budget of about $100, £100, something like that, for a good starter microphone. That can sound like quite a lot of money, and it is. It's $100, £100. But buying a microphone with a bit of a decent price tag behind it means you're getting a good quality. Doesn't matter how good your music is. Doesn't matter the topics you want to talk about. Doesn't matter how good they are. The minute you start talking, people are going to very quickly decide whether they want to carry on listening. If you sound terrible, I mean, I'd like to think, even though I'm very nasally and bunged up, I still like to think the very high quality microphone I've got is still making me sound pretty all right. I'm sure I'll go in the comments and people will disagree. If that's the case, I'm sorry. But yeah, I like to think, if you're paying a good amount of money for a microphone, then it's going to make you sound a lot better. People are going to stick around because you sound good. It's very, very off-putting. You'll find a lot of podcasters are the same. You may listen to a podcast and they sound like it's recorded in their bathroom, and they're very, very difficult to listen to. So getting like a really very, very good microphone for about £100, $100. Things, microphones by Rode, Shure, Blue, Audio Technica. There are just a couple of brands I recommend. Rode, we've done a lot of reviews for a lot of Rode equipment. We're very close with them. So things like, the Rode Pod Mic, the Rode Podcaster, the Rode Procaster. They have very similar sounding names. And there's a great USB powered one that I used to own called an NT USB Mini. And that's a very, very good USB powered microphone. Again, about $100 or so. So I'd say for a microphone, that's a very, very good budget. It's a realistic budget for sounding very, very good. But there's no need to really shell out a lot of money for all of that. If you play music live, then you may want to consider using additional services like Virtual DJ or Play It Live, and each of them come with their own subscription costs to use them fully. You can, of course, go all out from the start and buy something like the Rodecaster Pro, which is a desk that'll pretty much do everything for you. It does just come with a very hefty price tag of about $500 to $700. But again, if you want to shell out loads to have something that will do everything for you, there are options for you. But yeah, I'd say a good budget for a microphone, especially, is about $100, £100. So I hope that has helped Josh. Harold, what are good tools for improving listenership? I didn't touch base on them actually during this demonstration, but internet radio directories are great ways to improve the availability and the online visibility of your radio station. It doesn't, I guess, so much increase your listenership, but it just makes it more likely for people to find you. It makes your station easier to locate and then, in the most polite sense, stumble upon and then happily carry on listening. Some directories can recommend others who listen to something similar as well, or they even showcase some stations. So, best of all, they are free and they are easy to submit to. And You'll see in one of my next slides, there is a video that James, our founder, James Mulvaney, has done all about internet radio directories and goes through how some of them work and how they look and how to submit to them. So have a look on our YouTube channel for that, and you'll see a great guide on over 30 internet radio directories that we do recommend using. Probably the best tool, though, to use is social media because it's free and pretty much everyone in the world is on it to some degree. Having your own Facebook, Twitter, and or even things like Instagram and TikTok, they're taking over the world. Having accounts for all of those can really help promote your station, and it can be hugely beneficial as it allows people to share your station for you, and pretty much like free promotion. Really, if you put a picture of your station, someone shares it. There we go. That's potentially dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of people finding out about your station who didn't know about it already. The one thing really to make a note of is you can't afford to be ignorant to social media, really. So, due to how helpful it is for broadcasters. So, if you're unsure of how Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram works, then find out how they work so you can use them. Likewise, if you don't have accounts for them already, make accounts for them. I, for one, kind of really don't like using social media. It is a cesspool of sometimes some of the worst people around. But you can't deny how useful it is for broadcasters. You're allowing people to share your content and find you very easily. And after all, as I say, everyone is on it. So if you don't know how it works, or you don't want to go on it, kind of change that attitude. You have to really in this wide broadcasting space. And then the final question is from Marsha. Can I have a mobile app or Alexa skill despite not hosting with Radio.co? Squeaky door there. Currently, Marsha, you must have a station broadcasting with Radio.co in order to have your own iOS or Android apps. So, if you do want to make use of our apps, you do need to broadcast with Radio.co. However, in the new year, we do actually hope to change that. So, if you've been following any of our newsletters or, again, or our social medias, you may have seen already that we are releasing some brand new apps next year that will add so much more functionality into our apps, and the ability for things like to embed a news feed on there, podcasts, to have an RSS feed on there, the ability to interact with your listeners, to have your schedule on there. So many different functions to it. It's a really, really exciting time for these apps, and we're hoping to start rolling them out in the new year, so from January 2022. So, what we're doing is we're hoping to also make them available to people who aren't broadcasting through Radio.co. Of course, we would prefer you to, and you would be prioritized if you are broadcasting with Radio.co. But, if you're not and you would like to make use of our apps, then yeah, you absolutely can later on in the year. You can actually register your interest for the apps now. Just go to the website, which is radio.co/app, and you can find out ways of submitting your interest for that. At the moment, though, you will need to host your station with us to have an Alexa skill, which will actually be a pretty great idea, as we're also in the new year hoping to roll out the ability to build commands for Google Home devices as well. So hopefully hoping to cover the entire smart speaker market next year. Still no ETA on it apart from next year, but if you want to have functionality on smart speakers, broadcasting with Radio.co is the way to go. Well, there we go. Hope everyone who asked those questions there got a detailed enough answer. I hope I didn't waffle on too much or make too much of a hash of things. So yeah, we've got a little bit of time left, and I'm going to go through as many questions as I can now of people who have asked them already. And just to give you a refresher, because you have been staring at this particular screen for a while, I'll change these slides. So as I mentioned before, you can subscribe to our Radio.co YouTube channel and our founder James Mulvaney's YouTube channel to find heaps and heaps of videos about everything, like, as I mentioned before, the online radio directories there, things about how to make money, how to things about how to take callers. Even if you wanted a tour of another radio station that's broadcasting through us to see what they use, you absolutely can. They're just a few examples of some videos that you can check out. Okay, so questions. So Dennis has asked, can CDs be used, or do they need to be converted to MP3s first? If you want to make use of our automation and our scheduling tools, Dennis, then you will need to upload actual MP3 files to your Radio.co account. That way, as I say, you can make use of all of our automated tools. If you wanted to use CDs, you could only use them as part of a live broadcasting capability. So if you had a way of connecting CD players to a desk or your computer directly, yeah, pop those CDs in and play tracks like that, but only as part of a live broadcast. Otherwise, yes, please upload all your tracks to Radio.co just to make it a lot easier to actually manage. Ralph has asked, is there a way for me to live stream video? Yes, there is, but not directly through Radio.co, unfortunately. As obviously, we are an audio specialist platform. Again, something that we have discussed in the past, maybe having the ability to help you broadcast video as well, but that's something on our future roadmap. So, it may be something we revisit next year. So for now, use something like OBS is a great way of basically syncing your Radio.co feed with your with a separate video feed and then broadcasting that out. We're using one called StreamYard at the moment, which is how I'm broadcasting sort of live across the internet. You may be able to use that for doing pretty much something similar as well. So it is possible to do. You just need to use additional software alongside Radio.co. And again, because we have help guides on pretty much everything, just type in Radio.co OBS or something like that on Google and you will find an article all about it. Judy has asked, what's the name of the broadcasting software for Mac? It's called Butt, B-U-T-T, or the full name for it is Broadcast Using This Tool. It's often referred to primarily as Butt, but yeah, Broadcast Using This Tool is the one that we tend to recommend using. Pete says, I don't see talk show or news on mine. Is there a problem? Potentially, Pete. It will either mean if you don't see some of the features that I've showed you, it'll mean either the subscription plan that you're on doesn't have those features available. In that case, you would need to upgrade your plan to have access to them. Or if you're not the owner of the station, it may be just because the role that you've been assigned doesn't allow you to actually interact with those particular features. Again, if you want a bit of clarification on that, feel free to email me, studio@radio.co, and I can take a look for you. Reno has asked, can I see specific cities that my listeners are in? Yes and no. I say and no because it all depends on what information the user's IP address allows them to share. So if their IP address allows them to share what city they're based in, it will display it, but only as part of your live stats. So you won't be able to see historical stats for who's listened in what cities, just only when it's as part of your real-time live stats will you be able to see. Like in the example I showed you on my station, it said Dorset, the particular town in the UK that someone was listening from. So yeah, if their computers allow them to share that information, it will be displayed. If they don't, then it will just allow you to display whatever obviously their computer allows them to. So it does have the ability to, but yeah, it kind of depends on the listener's end. Rav has asked, can I add a paywall to have a private station? Yes, you absolutely can, Ralph. So that's something that we do actually get asked quite a lot. Again, you can't do it directly through Radio.co, but you can use an additional service to do that. There's actually one that we recommend called DPD, Digital Product Delivery, I think it stands for. DPD, again, we have a guide on this. If you just type in Google Radio.co private station or a paywall station, or type in our blog and go type in paywall, you'll find it. And that will actually show you how to set up a subscription fee for your station. You will put it behind this private paywall. And you will set how much people want to pay for it, whether it's a couple of dollars, a couple of quid, or a large amount. But you will set all that, and yeah, it will mean your station then is technically private, and only those who keep up the subscription fee will have access to your station. So yes, it is possible. Again, you just need to use an additional service alongside Radio.co. DPD is one of them that we recommend. And if you go to our website, click on our blog, which is one of the options at the top, and just type in paywall or charge, you will find the tutorial all about how to actually set that up. Harold has asked, what are the approximate costs of a license? Very, very difficult to say, Harold. As I say, any details like that, you can only really get from the licensing organizations because it can depend on strangely enough, it can depend primarily on how many hours per month you think people are going. Sorry, per year people are going to be listening to. It's a very difficult thing to obviously to know. I know in the UK prices can start from about £150 per year up to about 500 for a license from PPL. For licenses from the US, that can start from about $250, maybe something like that. They're always changing. All the regulations will depend, primarily on what functions your station is going to be doing. So the only thing I can say is it's going to cost at least, I'd say maybe at least a couple of hundred a year. But for the most accurate information, please contact your local organization. And again, if you go to our blog or just type in Radio.co licensing on Google, you will find a ton of help guides pointing you in the right direction of where to go. Robert has asked, what is the basic kit I'll need to get started? Yeah, I'll just kind of repeat what I said before, Robert. So really, I say that the least amount of stuff you need is an average powered Windows or Mac computer, an internet connection. If you want to talk, a good USB powered microphone, and that's really it. If you want to play music live, I say it's I mean, people like the physical things, like having an actual physical desk to, with all faders and things. But I always say maybe a good place to start is using some software to do your live broadcasting through something like Virtual DJ or Play It Live. That will just allow you to line up tracks, and Play It Live allows you to play tracks out of carts and things, kind of, a bit like a typical radio station setup. So, you may want to use those. Otherwise, yeah, just a laptop and an internet connection. A very, very average powered computer will do the job because it's all cloud based. So it doesn't actually use much computer power. And because I've gone over a little bit, so I'll use this last question that Judy has asked. Where can I download songs from, since I have them on Apple or Spotify? So there's a couple of places you can download music. Again, we have a help guide on some recommendations of where to go. If you have CDs, of course, who was it who had CDs? Dennis had CDs. Maybe you can borrow a few of his. But if you could take some CDs and just burn them, rip the tracks off those CDs, as MP3s or AACs, upload them. Of course, if you don't necessarily have CDs, buying them secondhand from like eBay, you can buy dozens and dozens of CDs very, very cheaply. And you've got, hundreds of tracks potentially off these, compilation albums. If you just want to get digital tracks, you will actually need to properly purchase the tracks. It's not possible to take tracks from, say, for Spotify, because they don't allow you to do that. If you purchase tracks through like Apple Music or iTunes, you should be able to download those onto your computer and upload them. But one place I always steer people to is a website called I Like Music. And that's a music store that's been set up by actual ex-BBC broadcasters, I think. And yeah, that's a great place of getting pretty much every track that's ever been in the UK chart. So I imagine pretty much everything that's been on worldwide mainstream radio. And the more tracks you buy, the cheaper they actually work out as. So you could buy 100 tracks and it works out they're about 50p each, something like that. So I say it's definitely worth going to a place like that to buy large batches. You are going to be spending, maybe a couple of £100 getting a lot of music, but it's definitely a very cheap, very good way of getting tracks from. So I Like Music, Judy. That's what I would steer you towards. Well, there we go, everyone. I said that's brought us to time. I've kind of gone slightly over time there, so I hope my rambling hasn't been too distracting and too awful to listen to. And I hope I have been able to answer a lot of the questions that you've either had in the back of your minds, or ones that you have asked, or ones that you were too scared to ask, maybe. But I hope that has been helpful. I hope you've been able to see just how easy Radio.co is to use. Even as a complete novice to broadcasting, you can literally get started within a few minutes. And of course, we're never going to leave you in the dark. So if you have any queries, any questions, a bit of advice, technical issues, of course, we're always on hand to help any way we can as well. We're just an email away. So if you would like a bit more information about launching your station, please send me an email. You can reach me studio@radio.co. That'll typically come through to me. Ask any questions you want and I'll get you on the right path to begin broadcasting. And we do offer a free 7-day trial as well. So if you want to have a go at broadcasting and seeing how you find it and putting what you've learned into practice, then head to our website, radio.co, go to the pricing tab, find whichever plan you want and click on start trial. And you've got a 7-day free trial to pretty much play around and experiment with your very own online radio station. It is really, really that simple. I don't know whether I'm going to be doing another one next month because it is getting around to Christmas. We'll soon see. But if not, I'll be returning with more webinars like this in the new year, definitely. If you have any ideas of what you would like me to cover, again, please let us know. What if there's anything you would like me to specifically talk about or demonstrate? Again, I'm all ears. So until next time, thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, happy broadcasting.
Starting a radio station has never been easier. Click here and I'll take you to a free guide which shows you exactly how you can start a radio station with minimal fuss, no technical headaches, plus also start getting those all-important listeners. How does that sound? Click here and I will take you to my free guide.